Plank is alive. Plank has always kind of been hinted at to have a consciousness of his own. Part of this is due to Johnny speaking to him and seeming to get responses back, but you can just say that's his imagination. However, there's been other instances of Plank seemingly teleporting or moving on his own, such as when he started the roller coaster ride, and there's even been a lot of other points where the other kids treat him as his own different person, separate from Johnny, and I'm pretty sure he's even listed as a paranormal object on the Ed Wiki. And the most big example to me is him driving around all by himself in Metropolis. Like, you just see it right there and it's never explained, so yeah, I'm a believer. The parents are at work all day, so this is probably something that people have just theorized by themselves from watching the show regularly, and we talked about them existing beforehand, but not exactly where they are. And it makes sense considering that you gotta pay for those poor little kids' suburban houses somehow, and they admittedly look really nice on the inside. So the theory is just that all of their parents are gone at work during the day, but then by nighttime they're back. And there's evidence in the show showing that they're supposed to be back by nighttime, considering that Eddie calls for his mom in the beginning of To Sir with Ed, which takes place at nighttime, and he's surprised when she's not there. And then there's Double D mentioning that their parents must be worried sick by now at the end of Ed or Tales, where they've been out until nighttime looking for the Jawbreaker. And the most convincing thing for me is Double D telling everybody that he's notified their parents that they're breaking all of the rules and stop looking at Ed, and he specifically says that they're coming home right now, which causes them to panic. And why was he wearing pantyhose on his head? Lee has 3 eyes. Lee's eyes were almost always covered, and you've never seen them all in full, just one at a time usually if she did move her hair. And while not as big as a mystery as what's underneath Double D's hat, it was kind of a point of interest. Well, in the big picture show, if you stop at the right frame, you can see that she has 3 eyes. Maybe see it as an animation trick, but I like to think there's a bit more to it. Double D's hairpin. This is a popular moment pointing out when regarding the mystery of what's underneath his hat, and it's something that I actually overlooked for myself for a while. In Will Work for Ed, he pulls out a hairpin from underneath his hat to peel off the potatoes, and, well, that implies that he must have a full head of hair underneath there if he has a hairpin, and a lot of hair at that if he needs one to hold it all up. Kinda interesting. Wilfred was pink. This is self-explanatory, it's just that in the earlier episodes Wilfred was pink, and then not soon after he was changed to the white peach that's more well known. I've heard some people say that's a different pig and that the other one died, but that's kind of too dark and I don't know if I like that. Creator cameo Easter eggs. This refers to times where the creators have put their own names listed on the show outside of the credits as little Easter eggs. And while this wasn't done too much at first, by the time they started going to school, it was done a lot more. For example, in Out of the Old and of the Ed, you can see their names listed on the homeroom classroom numbers, like once it's zoomed in. And the biggest one is that for a frame, you can see the medical file of one of them, named after Big Jim. And it's just a totally new student who is drawn on there, and it's pretty neat. Double D was paler. This is another entry like with Wilfred, and all it is that Double D was paler in the earlier episodes. And much later on, by like the school seasons, he got a different skin tone, a slightly different one. Mr. Yum Yum incarnations. Most remember Mr. Yum Yum as just Jimmy's plush, however, something that's kind of overlooked is that of all the times it was destroyed, it seems to have a new form. At first it was the bunny, of course, and then the bear, which is also pretty recognizable. And then one I actually kind of forgot about was this dog. And afterwards, after seeing said plushes together, even, he went to being the bunny again by the end of the series, it seems like, which is his most iconic form. Like, when you think of all of that together and how he just suddenly reappears back to his normal self in multiple versions, it's almost kind of eerie. Ed has orange hair. Ed's hair is usually just seen as little black specks. However, those are apparently supposed to be orange when in full, because in Shown in Over Your Ed, after they fix it and comb it, it's orange, and I somehow kind of overlooked this detail and put 2 and 2 together, and I guess it makes sense that Ed would have orange hair considering that Sarah has it too. Early installment weirdness, so I'm gonna have to go kind of like off script with this one, try to explain it, but just like the tone, the quietness, I'm gonna use that word a lot while explaining this. Just like the way stuff is shot, and like the weird movement to the characters, and the sound effects. Like the scene that I'm thinking about the most is when Double D is looking around Eddie's room and you hear the whip sound effect as he quickly turns his head around. Like, that's just something that you would not hear at all. and like the voice acting's a bit more subdued, and like everything, like even the background is like gets help, which is the most obvious different thing, but that was like all season 1. It gradually got better as season 1 was going on, but it's just especially those earliest episodes are really weird and have a whole entire different tone. And there's even more of a more eerie and creepy tone where they didn't really know what they were doing yet with the show, and you just saw all this odd stuff that you wouldn't see in other ones. Like the picture I'm showing now always kind of bothered me as a kid for some reason. But like I just see it the most in Double D too, of just the way he sounds and the way he behaves. Like you have to go see it for yourself to get it. AKA logo is scary. This is a preview of the more dark and spooky entries that are coming up much later, and this one's up higher since like everybody knows what the logo is, and many people felt this way as a kid and maybe even still do today. And they get spooked by it from the weird sound and imagery. Like that one note is pretty unnerving if you take it in the right context, and it's up against this entirely black background, and just the fact that it comes at the very end of the show after everything, it's kind of like a weird surprise to end off and give you an uncomfortable feeling as the show's done. It never bothered me so much, but I can definitely see why, and that kind of thing intrigues me. And a friend of mine also mentioned hearing it suddenly play in the middle of the night, which, yeah, that's no good. Sorry this part was so delayed. I'm going to get the other parts out more consistently after this, and I'm probably going to have an update video explaining why that may already be out or is coming out next. But yes, thank you for understanding, and see you next time.